Hello, Lara. Nice to meet you and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
I'd like to start by introducing you to folks that might be listening or hearing or watching this conversation. So, I'm speaking with Lara Arabian, a multi-talented person in Toronto and beyond, actually. um, on the screen, on stage. And I'm curious to hear how you would summarize your experience as an actor and your career as a
That's a
start
great
point.
question. Yeah, that's a great question. How I would summarize it, trying to do as much as possible, trying all the different disciplines. I
Hmm.
started off as purely an actor. Uh,
Yes.
and I should say I also work in three different languages. So I work
Hmm.
in English, in Armenian, and in French. And I started off just being an actor. Then I got into directing and now as a writer as well. So primarily I work as an actor and a writer now. And I write in those three languages as well. So I've developed
Wow.
relationships with different theater companies in the city that do multilingual productions. So sometimes I'll just work, like for example, with Toronto French Theatre, Théâtre Français.
Hmm.
I've written for them, I've acted with them, and that will just be in French. But I really love wearing all the different hats because I find that they all complement each other. And I love switching between radio, theater, film, and television. Doing all those different things is, I find they all complement each other and they enrich the work.
Excellent. So I know that you've done some TV work and some of the series that some of us are familiar with. But you're also very well known for being a multi award winning in Toronto with Adoras on theater. Um, how do you choose the roles that, as an actor, that you sort of want to embody? I know sometimes, like you said, you want to work, 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 and keep busy. Um, but when it comes to some of the roles that kind of stay with you, how do you go about that?
Um, First of all, I just have to correct you. Thank you. I have won the awards. I haven't won a Dora yet. I've been nominated.
Oh,
I should not.
so
Just wanted to put that out there. But I have won other things. How do I
you should
choose
have more
roles?
than one.
um, Oftentimes it's a combination of the role, the team, the creative team
Hmm.
that's putting it together. Where I really love to work is with devised work, new work, work that you can really kind of crack open. And those pieces I feel have stayed with me the longest because those it feels like those are the ones that I have the biggest hand in creating in the
Mm.
room with the director and the playwright as we kind of discover a piece together. And so that's a really exciting process. And so deciding what work I'll go out for really is about that combination of who's the team, um, what is the piece that we're going to do, and what can I bring to the table, because I feel like I have a specific point of view. Or I mean, as an actor, yes, we can embody everything, and
Hmm.
but those are the exciting moments when you get to kind of be in the room as something is unfolding. That
Hmm.
happens, of course, with I just did the House of Bernarda Alba with
Yes.
Modern Times and Aluna, and that is a piece that was written almost 100 years ago. In that piece we were discovering so much and it felt so much like we were uncovering, so it doesn't always necessarily have to be a new piece, but it's the ones where I often like a lot of physicality when that's involved, and kind of embodying as much as possible, like truly embodying a character.
Nice, nice. Yeah, the House of Bernardo Alva. I spoke with Beatriz about that, and
Oh,
it's a very powerful story too, I think.
it
Um,
is. And what was incredible was how much it resonated 100 years
mhm.
later, that piece, and
Yeah,
eight
yeah.
million people are.
And I think that's interesting about theater specifically, where, sometimes we are in school and we learn plays and we wonder, well, why am I learning this play? And it really is about um, people putting it on stage and making it relevant to each of us. That sort of is where I think um, art becomes so important.
Absolutely. It's that
Mm-hmm.
question of why this play, why now? Whether it's something new that you're creating or whether it's something that you really want to put on the stage. Like
Mm-hmm.
what is it that you want to say? Because I mean it's so hard to do theater. There's so much involved in getting.
Yeah.
So when you do get a chance to, it's like, okay, so why do you want to take the stage to say this thing, to explore this piece?
Mm-hmm.
How does it resonate in the now? Because I think that's one of the vital questions we have to ask ourselves in theater. Well, how does this resonate with us now? That it doesn't just stay this period piece, like you said, just kind of
Mm-hmm.
dusty on a shelf, and uh, that we just kind of read because it's supposed to be a classic instead of how does it affect us these days.
Yeah, so that is actually a nice little segue to the work that you've been, you know, involved with your own work, which is Siranoush. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
You are, yeah,
Okay,
Siranoush. Not a lot of people can. Thank you.
okay. Been practicing. So tell me about this. This is your first one-person show as a playwright and performer,
That's
or
right. Yeah,
okay?
yeah, both. So this is the first uh, piece exactly that it's a one person show. It's had quite an evolution,
Mm,
both with the piece part of Nightwood Theatre's Groundswell program and the Right from the Hip program, as well as the Banff Playwrights Lab. So I've had some time to work on it. In 2019, we did a 20-minute excerpt of the piece at
mhm.
Caminos. It had a really wonderful reception, and we were supposed to do it in 2020 as RUTAS. I think we all know what happened.
Right.
And then 2021, that too. And so here we are, and this piece has lived with me for a while, even before I started writing it. It was
Okay.
just it was just something that just kind of it sort of welled up,
Mm,
and it was in me for a bit, and then it just sort of came out in all this writing.
mm, mhm. So tell me about Siranoush. I've done a little bit of research and I know it's about a very well-known actress from Armenia, born in Constantinople. But what is it about this person that has lived with you and stayed with you all this time, and now you want to bring it to us?
Yeah, so the play itself is an exploration of both this person, Siranoush, this actress, and me as a 21st century
Mm,
American Canadian actress on this land. What we were talking about, how does that resonate now? But Siranoush was this incredible woman. She was born in 1857 in Constantinople, so Istanbul now in Turkey,
mhm,
part of the Armenian minority, that ethnic minority that was living there. And she started off as an actor right when Turkish modern theater was starting. So in the
mhm.
1870s, she started off as an opera singer. And this woman went on to found her own theater company. She got married. She had two children. She got divorced in the 1880s.
Can you imagine?
I can't even. It's really mind blowing. She was the first woman in the non-Western world to play Hamlet.
Mm,
She traveled. She spent like basically 40 years doing this almost like pilgrimages to different theaters all across the Middle East and the Caucasus,
mhm.
playing over 300 roles in
Wow.
nearly a dozen languages, some of which she knew, some of which she learned phonetically.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's really, really incredible. And the story is, it's very hard to find a lot
Mhm,
of information about her, but one of the stories that I'm going to hold on to is true is that she died on the way home from the theater when she was
mm.
75, playing the role of a 20-year-old prostitute in a play
Wow.
called The Lady of the
Yeah.
Candles. So she went right, and that was in Egypt. That was in
Yeah.
so she was a woman. So I came across a journal of hers, and it
Mm,
had just some excerpts, mainly about art, not so much personal stuff, but about her relationship to art, her relationship to writing, her relationship to the stage, and why she was so driven to be an actor. And I thought it
mhm.
was so fascinating that this woman in the 1870s, 1880s, this is the time before movies, when theater is just coming about, and her drive and the way she spoke about acting and the need to act, the need to be an artist also
Hmm.
felt so contemporary that it was astounding.
Right. So how do you now come to the writing part for yourself, right? Because it's probably, is it sort of like you're writing, so you're as a playwright, you have an idea of how you want to envision things, but also how do you put yourself in that as an
Well,
actor?
I have to, yeah, in the writing itself, you mean, or in the show? So
Hmm.
it started off being a conversation. The first bits of writing were me trying to figure her out. So
Mm.
I just started writing from her voice because I had all these questions and I just started imagining. Because at first, I just wanted to learn more about her and I couldn't. So I started
Right.
thinking, well, okay, so what are these answers that I'm looking for? So I just started writing from her voice and this perspective. I grew up, Armenian is my first language.
Hmm.
Here when I was young, from the Middle East, from Lebanon, where I was born. And I grew up in a household where it was basically like there was a border between our front door and the rest of the world. Like
Yes.
inside the house, it was the Middle East, it was, Armenian. And so I very much grew up in that culture. So I could really relate to her and
Yes.
what she was talking about as an Armenian artist because it was very important for her to perform in Armenian,
Hmm.
which became a banned language, which there was the genocide. So for me, it started off as almost a conversation with her. Where I was like, what? The driving question, what was your secret? How did you
Hmm.
do this? How was it possible for you to do this? And why didn't I know about you? I should have known about you growing up.
Mm.
And that question really, this idea of a female artist who we choose to remember, who
Right.
we choose to celebrate. There are no filmed recordings of her.
Right.
They say one of the reasons she's not as well known. She was around the same time as Sarah Bernhardt and
Hmm.
Dusa, and people used to call her the Armenian Sarah Bernhardt, and she would get
Hmm.
very upset and say Sarah Bernhardt is the French Siranoush. Which I
Which kind of makes sense, right? Even in current times, how, who gets the spotlight, right? So
absolutely,
again, relevance.
yeah, absolutely. This woman has been uh, very much forgotten.
Mm.
And as you said, whose story gets to be told?
Right.
How do we get to tell it?
Hmm.
And so this was something I'd never seen on the stages before. I was really curious to give voice to her, to give voice to the story, and because she was also performing as part of an ethnic minority that underwent an enormous genocide. There was
Right.
crazy persecution. So it's how do you keep going? How does art save? How does art transform? What do we were talking about roles that stay with you? What do
Hmm.
those bring you? And how can you use that to keep going? In life, I had all those questions about that, about how she performed Ophelia, she did Hamlet, she did Medea, all these iconic roles, Joan of
Yes.
Arc, and wondering how performing in different languages affected her as
Right.
well. Because as someone who speaks three languages, I know I'm someone different, in each language. Slightly, I have a core, but
Sure.
I feel different in each language. So I was very curious about the personal and the professional and the work as well. How do all those languages
Hmm.
affect that?
So now that you mentioned that, I read that the your one person show also is being performed in more than one language, right?
That's
So
right. It's
also.
it's it's got some of the languages that she performed in,
Hmm.
and also a lot of Armenian in there
Hmm.
as well as I speak to her. So that's been a really exciting thing because you that was something I've never seen on stage, and also because I want to bring another audience in that might
Yes.
not typically go to the theater. So most things are surtitled, so the audience will be able to follow along. But it is an exploration of language as well, an exploration
Mm.
of who we are in different languages. Um, where do those languages sit in our bodies? And when we perform, where does language sit? in our,
Mm-hmm.
and how does that, and then how does that affect the audience as well? Because the
Right.
audience is very much a part of this. The audience is always the last character in a play. It's the final character to be added. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I feel, and in this one, there's a strong relationship with the audience.
Nice. I'm curious now. I mean, I'm obviously gonna make my way to see it, but can you talk about maybe other elements in the performance that we can expect, like, how you work with your sound person, your lighting, because I think sometimes that's part of that experience of being in that space,
Mm-hmm.
especially for a one person
For one person,
show.
exactly, because as the only actor up there as my director, my wonderful director Carla Mello says, she Lara needs acting partners. So the lighting, the sound,
Mm-hmm.
we have video projections as well.
Mm,
Um, they are all my partners on
right.
stage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give away too much, but there
No.
are also other partners that you'll see up
Yeah.
there. Um, that is the sound and the light and the video projections are being, they were imagined from the beginning. This piece
Okay.
has been built with them in mind. We have a wonderful creative team. um, so it's not like every element, like how each element is going to be exactly what it's going to look like, that's being developed now. But the
Mm-hmm.
idea of like in this section there will be a video projection. In this section there will be, and how can we add to the storytelling? Because all of those
Right.
elements are all part of the storytelling, as much as the
Mm-hmm.
script is, as much as me being up there speaking is. Those are all part of it. So they're in a way my partners. It's a very intimate piece. We want to keep it very intimate,
Right.
and because it's like a it's like a three-way conversation between me, Siranoush, and the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's different configurations of how that conversation works, but it's
Interesting.
very much a part of all of us being in the space together at the same time and having this conversation. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, with some,
Nice. So would you say that, so now this is a longer piece from the first one in
yes,
2019. How much more time is it? Because
it's
you
a full
I
length
think,
piece now.
okay.
It's a full length, so it's going to be an hour 10, like a full length
Yeah.
piece.
So
Yeah.
were you able then to now add a lot of these other elements of partners because,
Because we had those
yeah.
elements during the expo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we weren't able to fully to explore them as fully as possible because it was just the 20-minute extra.
Yes, yeah.
But that definitely laid the seeds as to what worked, what didn't work, what we really liked, and what we wanted to keep and continue expanding upon.
Mm-hmm.
So we have been lucky enough to be working with our partners and really our team and just expanding this. And it's very exciting. It's a one person show, so there's sometimes where I have to leave the playwright hat aside and
Right.
actor. It's surprising how hard it is to learn your own lines. I thought it would be a lot easier.
I'm sure you're gonna do fine, but I can imagine, putting it on and off, right? Because there's the vision of a playwright, and then there's the actor who has to
Right.
embody that vision,
Exactly. Exactly. So
right?
Bea Pisano she told me before I entered rehearsals, that's it, you leave it aside. I mean, it is evolving during the rehearsals, but
Sure.
trying to concentrate more on serving the piece as
Nice.
opposed to, you can always, it's ridiculous sometimes. It's like, should the comma go here?
Oh wow. I know. I can only imagine the internal dialogue there.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent. So now, sure, it's going to premiere at RUTAS this year, which is an international theater festival, also through Aluna Theater. Can you tell us when your particular show will be premiering so that folks know when to go?
Well, it's going to be September 30th, which is a Friday evening. It's at Factory Studio. It's
Mm-hmm.
at 7:30 p.m. And then we run during the weekend. So it's the Saturday, October 1st,
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, October 2nd, if I am not mistaken. The first is at 4 p.m. and the second is at 3 p.m.
Nice.
But they're both in the afternoon.
Okay.
And you can get your tickets now. And I would advise if you do want to come because it is such an intimate show. I know that opening is getting close to full. Getting those tickets now and coming ready
Absolutely.
for an experience.
Sounds amazing. I'll be sure to link on the posts where people can grab their tickets for the festival and for your show specifically. Thank you so much, Lara. It was really lovely to speak with you
Oh, it's
and
lovely.
learn about your process. Looking forward to the show.
Thank you so much. I look forward to having you there and speaking to you afterwards.
Thank you.
Thank you.